We are those of Kuo, and we greet you all in the radiant light of the infinite Creator. We commend this instrument for the extended challenging and we understand our energies can be somewhat overwhelming to begin with. We are adjusting the flow of consciousness to best align with this instrument's configuration. We thank you all for your continued dedication and hard work. And we feel grateful to the opportunity to communicate with you today. We would ask that you take what we say as alternative perspectives that may help guide your path or hinder it. So please disregard any information that does not cause a resonance inside the mind-body-spirit complex. And with this caveat, we are free to openly communicate our extended view inside the confines of free will and the imagination of your questioning.
Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Thank you for sharing space with us. I have a query related to the session before last, where I believe it was Fred who asked about geometries. I don't remember specifically, but it was related to beneficial geometries, and the answer in so many words was that part of that, most of that is up to the individual, although we do have our standard knowledge of the benefits of the pyramid, but anything else would be purely the individual. When that query was asked and they began to transmit through Ed, I had a distinct image of the dodecahedron come up for me, and I was just inspired to first ask if the dodecahedron, like the pyramid, has, being a sacred geometry, has very potent effects if we are to meditate within it or hold it within our consciousness, see ourselves in it, if there's benefit to us using this shape collectively at this time, or if it is more personal for me as a shape, and if you have anything to share about the dodecahedron, metaphysically speaking. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this subject. We are those of Quo, and we hope that we can help you to further delve into these concepts. As you said, geometry is sacred, as it is somewhat a universal playbook whereby its systems of organization, perfectly evolve step by step into the diverse intricacies that you perceive in third density incarnated experience. The flow of the etheric as this instrument and many prior have described the infinite energy under the influence of the will of infinite intelligence. These sound complexes all describe the same energies and the same structuring systems that organize all things in somewhat predictably chaotic expansions, this energy has been called prana and many other vibratory complexes, but the basis is the same. It is the fabric that underlies the creation. So when experimenting with specific geometric patterning and form, you have to consider how these energies are moved around and how they correspondingly interact and merge inside the structure itself. These structures should also be seen to have function in amongst themselves due to this patterning. As your understanding of the movement of these energies progresses, which it will as a race you develop the ability to allow the absorption and reflection of more of the Creator's light. You will understand the complexities and the simplicity by which you can organize the energies surrounding and emanating from the crystallized mind-body-spirit complex. As the light flows through your vessels, you will be able to fundamentally control more of its action inside the geometric structures that you have described. The Platonic solids are once again fundamental building blocks of a vast majority of nature. So each one has a corresponding energy flow caused by the properties of the shape. that allow the spirals and eddies and currents that flow through the shape itself to be harnessed and focused towards specific workings. As the seeker masters the ability to direct and implant intention into these structures, you will find that they have many as yet undiscovered potential for spiritual use. Your intuitive recollection of a dodecahedron is related to a pre-incarnative experience where this specific structure had a deep meaning. It has for its merit a long history of spiritual use as the Pythagorean structure associated with spirit. And as we said, the fabric of your reality. The link between those two concepts is not ironic, but fundamental, and the understanding that shape can be bridged will help you greatly on studying this subject. We apologize if this answer seems to have dragged on, but we hope that it has given you food for thought around this query. Could we clarify any details for you?
Now you're very clear. Thank you for addressing the query so thoroughly with avenues of exploration. Thank you.
We are those of Kuo, and we thank you, our sister, and we would ask if there's any other queries that this group may ask us for deeper understandings.
Hi, Quo. I had a question. I've got a couple of questions in relation to sexual energies. The raw material and other channelings that I've read on the LL Research archives, they speak about sexual energy transfer, including aspects such as simultaneous orgasm between both participants, giving rise to a more brilliant exchange of energies, being an example. And I just wondered whether can a homosexual encounter between either two males or two females, can that yield a sexual energy transfer in a similar way to a heterosexual one?
We, those of Quo, we thank you for this interesting query. The incredible attributes that the sexual transfer contains is a vast wealth of knowledge. The specific question that you ask comes down to the mechanics of the energetic interaction. The physical process that is undergone during intercourse and sexual energy transfer would remain the same whoever is involved. The ecstasy that it is possible to reach takes each entity closer to Creator and thins the veil ever so slightly via the orgasmic climax. This does not change, but the way that the energy is transferred and the way that the energy centers connect has a specific polarity and directional positioning depending on the male or female physiology. When the sexual magical working is undertaken, part of the power this type of working produces comes from the harmonious blending of those energies. This is not impossible in homosexual encounters, but due to the similar polarity of the people involved, it is significantly more difficult to combine the energy fields in the harmonious fashion that is not required, but is somewhat easier. We would advise cleansing of the aura and balancing the energy centers, and the pursuit of the intention and the shared understanding of the magical working and set visualization or ritualistic practice a comparable amount of energy could be produced. It would just require significantly more planning and a detailed understanding of the subtle bodies and the energy transfer process. We hope that this has shed some light and given some context. We would ask if there is any further query.
That was great, thank you. I'll go away and digest that answer and see how I get on with that. But I did also want to ask a similar question about a phenomenon that I know some people are able to do. I've done it in the past, and it involves using thought or imagery or a single pointed focus, you might say, in order to achieve an orgasm without any touching whatsoever. And firstly, this would initially seem to me to be a service to self endeavor. And if you're able to comment on that aspect, I'd be grateful. However, my main query is in relation to whether you could comment on the mechanism of how this works in relation to the chakras or the energy centers when this is achieved.
Thank you, my brother. We're those of Latos, and we believe we understand your query. This is physiologically masterable as are any autonomic systems inside your body complex. The specifics of causing that reaction via thought are actually numerous, but the same process is undertaken to achieve it. The ability to bring awareness and focus the love light into specific areas to adapt and control mechanisms such as this release, can be learnt and mastered for many reasons. If this is a particular skill that you would like to master, we would recommend looking at the yogic practices involving the pulling in of the red ray or the awakening of the Kundalini snakes, and recognize the physiological body organ and how these correspond. Via these practices, you can learn to pull in that energy and direct it for purposes as you have described. We would, however, advise within the bounds of free will that you could find more productive practices to focus your will on achieving, and we would say that there are far more rewarding sensations and blissful experience as you progress into higher densities. This is one of the main reasons that the sexual energy transfer is so alluring, because it reminds you of the densities that you existed in before incarnation, that in your veiled state you subconsciously long for, and the sexual energy transfer and the blissful oxytocin response gives you that glimpse. We would recommend focusing on rising your consciousness to a blissful plane where the sensation you desire is almost eternal. But free will is yours to wield as you see fit. We hope this has given you some small illumination on this rather complex question, and we would say that we hope it has helped. Is there a follow-up question?
Not at this juncture. I tend to agree with you about that there are more productive ways to spend one's time. I was just curious about the mechanisms and whether that could be used, harnessed in a different way that you might have suggested. But like I say, I'll digest that, and if I've got a follow-up, I might ask at a different time. Thank you.
We thank you, my brother, and we would suggest that the same practices that we have spoken about are a very useful practice to master in other ways. And is fundamental to the way your energy systems work. We just feel that there would be more appropriate uses for that energy once harnessed. We are those of Quo. And we feel this instrument is struggling to maintain a stable we are those of Kuo, and we are once again with this instrument. We would ask if there was one more query before we leave. In that case, we would say thank you and well done to all who participate in the circle. We can feel the rapid progression each of you is undertaking. And we are so proud to watch your radiance glow daily. These are important time, space, patterning that you are not aware of, but are beautiful and far-reaching. So we thank you all for your service. And we say goodbye until our next interaction. We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Adonai, my friends.